welcome to Marin Poets Live. I'm Neshama Franklin. I work at the Fairfax Library and I love poetry. After this program airs on TV, it will appear on the Marin Free Library website as a digital archive, which also features biographies of the poets and links to our collection. And welcome, Francesca.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Well, as you may know, we like to start with a Marin poem to ground us where we live. So what do you have?
Well, I brought actually a few Marin poems. I realized that I actually have written a lot of Marin poems. I didn't initially think I had. And so this one, the title is actually really the first line of the poem. In the Rush Creek Open Space Preserve, they arrested a man last Thursday for bearing what should be kept zippered as a good boy's lips. His jangled mind on display, he wandered, gibbering in just a shirt. His genitals swayed, not hurting anyone, but jarring, even frightening some. I'd like just once to do the same, to quit my tidy breakdowns and fall apart big, to run exposed and babbling up along the ridge.
I love that impulse and that softening of all that which we look at, which we're not supposed to like. It's very, and I love the kind of the Rush Creek Preserve, you know.
Yes, and I live right near there, so I run there every day.
Wow.
So I realize it's made its way into a lot of my poems.
Beautiful and surprising.
Thank you.
I love it. Okay, let's see what's next.
So what's next is a poem I wrote about the barn owls that were nesting on my back hill of my backyard. There's a wonderful program here in Marin called the Hungry Owl Project, and you can have an owl box put into your yard. And we had 3 different clutches, and this is one that I wrote in response to having those owls on my back hill. Want. Small wind tonight, and my face pressed to the flimsy screen. Owls ghost our hilltop trees, fledglings shrilling for food. They eat their own weight in rodents every night and shriek, though their sibling was caught and consumed. Under their nest box, what was left? Wings sheared from the torso intact, a few bones, skull with its working beak, brain devoured, eye sockets sucked clean. This is the world I want. World of hunger, world of soft breeze and keening. Lord, let me famish, devour my body's weight in summer evening light, ache for sky and the tree's outline, a gaping mouth against it. Let me be the dark shape, sharp against what is bright.
Again, you're turning your back on sentiment, and
yes.
And you're just recognizing if they eat, they get eaten.
Yes.
We will be eaten, as it were.
Yes.
And
we all will be eaten.
We all will be eaten.
And
yes.
we all are the eaters too.
Right. Yes. And the shrilling, which is both, I bet, thrilling and annoying at the same time.
Yes, I didn't find it so annoying. I've spent a lot of nights with my face pressed against the window listening.
Yes.
So I actually didn't find it annoying.
Well, what a gift it is to have them with you.
Yes, and I got several poems about the owls. That's just one of them.
Yes, and now I want another of something.
Well, so I write a lot of persona poems, and so I brought a few persona poems to share.
Right, and before you go any further, since some of them we don't maybe know what persona poem is, or just remind me what persona poem is.
So a persona poem is where you write from the perspective of and in the voice of another person.
Okay.
And sometimes it's an historical figure, sometimes it's someone completely made up.
Great.
And so this poem is a poem that I wrote about a person I made up and placed her in a historical place. So I became fascinated with a story of a Pentecostal preacher who had been bitten several times by rattlesnakes. Pentecostals believe in dancing with venomous snakes as a test of their faith. And finally, after I think it was the 9th bite, he lay down on his couch and died. And I started thinking about what it would be like to be his child. And so I wrote this poem from my imagined perspective of his imagined daughter. Taking Up Serpents. Sometimes my father sends me to the room where he keeps the church snakes. He knows I'm afraid. I don't set a foot in till the lights come up bright. Once a snake got loose and had to be caught. It coiled in the middle of the room, shocking as when I broke free of puberty. Snakes have no ears, but they feel you coming from way off. Before I get a hand at the knob, they're ready, rattles rasping. Hairs rise up all along my skin. It's what happens when boys look at me now. New tongues speak in my body. Sometimes I writhe, a belly crawler, a tree branch grown crooked. My father doesn't look right at me anymore, not since the devil slithered into me and set up shop. Snakes he looks in the eye, holding each scaled body high with both hands. Whenever one strikes him, prayers fly. I've heard venom makes your heart race, splits your skin wide.
Wow, that is extraordinary. And just those words in conjunction, church snakes.
Yes.
I mean, that just made me go, oh.
Well, and they actually keep rooms of snakes to use because they'll bring out several snakes at a time when they're giving the sermons where the snakes come out.
Right, and such a delicious mingling of the adolescent shift.
Yes.
And my father won't look at me, but he'll look at the snakes. I mean, oh, what a bundle of complex contradictions.
Well, thank you.
Really beautiful, thank you. I want more persona poems, I love them.
Okay, so this one is one that I wrote from the perspective of Helen Keller. And as you've probably already noticed, I like thinking about the parts of things that people don't like thinking about so much. So this one is imagining things Helen Keller might have thought of. Dreaming Helen Keller. Always the interminable spelling on my inadequate palm. One letter at a time, like a slow drip off the eaves after a big rain, and me, still parched, tipping my face to the sky, wanting to holler. If only I could learn to shape air into something recognizable. If only someone would whisper poems along the insides of my arms, a hymn sung by fingertips across my belly, all the way to the peak of each breast, my body's rafters reverberating. Then a suspenseful little story unfolding up and down my thighs, and finally a cacophony, both lyrical and guttural. Let my little cave echo, trill, open like a throat to answer. Oh, fill my body, this clumsy mute organ, with song.
Ooh, that's so deliciously sensual. I love it. I love it. And the tedium of the finger spelling,
Yes.
Which is so far from sensual material, you know.
It is, and I've always wondered, she was so bright, and I've wondered whether she didn't tire of that.
Yeah, there are novels, by the way, that carry this forward, but your poem gets it right like that. Very exciting. Thank you. I want more, whatever's coming up.
Well, this next poem is one that is a little bit difficult for people to hear, but it's part of a series of poems that I consider some of the most important that I've written. So I went ahead and brought it today. And it's a poem that I wrote in response to the problems the Catholic Church has had with the scandal of the sexual abuse of children by the priests. Mm-hmm. And so this is a poem I wrote after I had read just, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that Philadelphia was just now getting around to laying off, I think it was about 30 Catholic priests. Yeah. And so I wrote this from the perspective of a Catholic priest, trying to imagine what could possess a person to do what the Catholic priests have done to the children. And it's in the voice of the priest. Mm-hmm. My body broken for you. After Mass, I bid him kneel before me in the sacristy, as I have knelt so many times before the sculpted body of our Lord. He is in his Sunday best, shoes his mother shined. Wine we shared left a rose on each cheek. He closes his eyes in prayer, his face as open as a question. I place my blessing hand on his head and pull aside my vestments. Oh, I am as firm as my convictions, hard as the unbeliever's heart. I turn to flesh in the furnace of his mouth. His neck is like porcelain as I bend over him, my body blooming from his throat's small vase. I am burning. Burning. I want to bathe him in this cleansing hot stream, baptize myself in the pure flowing drops of his tears. Look at us. Look at us before you, Lord. We are bursting. We are flames. We are flowers. We are your holy, your broken, faithful children.
That's one of the most amazing things I have ever heard. It's very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful in its horror, because in all of us, there's that ability to take that which we know is heinous and somehow gild it and make it work, because in all of us are these conflicting impulses that come from good and come from not so good. And you just pull them together, and you've made a vessel of that which is, which screams headlines and has destroyed young lives, and yet taps into the weird integrity of the broken priest. I mean, my head is spinning around with excitement and wonder.
Well, you are an amazing listener.
Well,
I have to say that. Thank you.
So, a little more?
A little more. So I brought a few poems now that have to do with animals. My son and I both, and also my two daughters, but mostly my son and I, have been, we've been keepers of many different animals, a lot of reptiles and some spiders and sort of the creepy crawly things that people don't like. Yes. And so I've written some poems from those experiences. Misconceptions. The Bible is wrong about serpents. God's favor is clear in the skin shed in one piece, the snake emerging, vivid as a woman who slips from the stockings between her and pleasure. Notice the jaw. It unclasps to accommodate appetite. The sleek skull is earless. The world's music plays along the finely tuned underside.
Yes, yes, that's utter snake.
You can
Pure.
see
I
love snakes.
I know, and that love shines through.
Yes.
And again, the sensuality shines through, and that's very exciting to me, and I'm sure to the listeners.
Well, not everyone appreciates the snakes or the sensuality,
Okay,
I think, all
well,
the time.
you're in the right place.
I'm in the right place.
You are, yes.
And this next one is a poem about a lizard that my son insisted he get that I didn't want in the house because it's mildly venomous. And its common name is the Mexican beaded lizard. But the title of the poem is its Latin name. Heloderma horridum horridum. At 18, my son insists on free-handling the beaded lizard. He pats its head, shows me its jowly venom sacs. The fat face stays shut, wicked teeth encased. If it bites, the pain excruciates. Morphine won't begin to touch it. My boy runs his bare, still smooth fingers up and down the bumpy body, courting what life inflicts anyway, pain beyond pharmaceuticals' reach.
That's the paradox of parenthood
Yes,
in one small, dangerous animal.
Yes,
You
it is.
got it.
It is.
Horridum, horridum.
Horridum,
indeed.
horridum. That
Yes.
pretty much sums up
Right.
the paradox.
Right.
of
We're about
parenthood.
11 minutes. Just,
About
just make
11
sure
okay.
you get in what you want to get in. But I just want to keep them coming.
Okay, I'll just read one more snake poem. As if God, little mouse, lying white on your side like a child in a christening dress, I've thawed and placed you to wait on the flat rock altar. But Snake isn't interested. He sniffs once, tongue flickering like flame, then slides back into the shavings, concealed again. It's as if we prayed and God did not come, or came but turned his face away, refusing to take the child's whole spirit deep into his devouring shape and free it, as each mouse released by generous jaw and steady squeeze is freed into the great gliding goodness of Snake.
That's so beautiful. And of course, there's a little Blake that starts it.
Yes.
That's fine with me. I just have to insert a friend talking about the horror of the alligator who ate
Yes.
the two. She said, that kid gotta get out of something fast,
Yes.
dark and then released. So
That's true.
that's what that poem is all about,
Yes,
even though that little mouse is already dead.
it is.
But-
It is, but you're it's like you're bringing them back to life when you thaw them out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and you hate for them to go to waste, too.
right.
So then I brought a couple of parenting poems,
Good.
since that also comes into my work a lot.
Yes.
And this one is about those moments when it was with my first child and I was having an ultrasound for the first time, and sort of the feelings that all of that bring up. From the beginning, I see you rise like an apparition on screen when the doctor waves his wand across my belly. I see your face. You turn toward me the orbs of your eyes, dark, impenetrable. Your arms move, a thrashing like running or swimming, and I see hands unfurl at the ends of them, hands that will hold on and let go. And your feet already walk you across the slick carpet of my insides. On screen, they glimmer like ghost feet, taking you places I cannot. From the beginning, I know you are leaving. Chilled by my flimsy gown in the dim room, I watch the swell of me, bare and glistening, under which you move. The screen is lit with your chin and your chest, the 4 perfect chambers of your heart, as you strain against the barrier I am.
Leaving already.
They are from the very beginning.
I know. And again, it's not so much of a leap from the snake to the fetus. I mean,
No.
it's that same perspective
Yes.
of this is nature.
Yes.
And there's lots of cruelty and lots of beauty and lots of grotesquerie, all
Yes.
in this one bundle.
And there's no way back.
Exactly. Exactly.
And no way out.
Yes, that's wonderful. Keep going.
So this poem is about really the fears of parenting, and how never quite knowing what exactly to worry about, and whether or not you're solving the wrong problem or the right problem. Flailing, not flailing. I've heard the drowning are normally silent, often still. Some succumb at home, dry, hours later. What do lifeguards watch for? Blinking back sun, bored. Children sink and bob, sink again. The pool closes its clear door over them. Who can say who's failing, who's having fun? What face distress wears beneath the water?
The parent as lifeguard,
Yes.
and I love the fact that you put boredom in there, because there's a lot of parenting that's very boring no matter how much you love the kid.
So much boredom
Yes.
and tedium.
Yes.
And then the feeling of never knowing when to be alarmed.
Right, and dying on dry land long after.
Yes.
Life is just so full of it, full
It
of
is
hard stuff.
And when I read the stories, there was kind of a rash of stories at one point about the dry drowning. And I was right on top of the wet drowning.
Yes, yes.
But it's much harder to watch for the dry drowning.
And actually, you can't watch for the dry drowning.
No.
That's
That's the horror of it.
Yeah, and they're going out there, and who knows
Yes.
what's waiting for them.
Yes.
Inside and out.
Inside and out.
Yes, yes. We have 5 minutes.
5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a minute. That's a little more time than I thought I'd have at this
I know.
point.
I
No,
know.
it's okay.
But you have poems to fill those 5.
No, I do, but I don't have them perfectly arranged.
Yeah, but it's all fine. We have a little breathing room between these devastating images.
So this next poem is about sort of the aftermath of parenting, which, since I assume do you have children yourself?
Yeah.
Yes, so you'll recognize this sense. Every 2 hours, the letdown burns. By the time I uncover my breast, t-shirt, bra, nursing pad, the baby is at full cry, its wide open wailing like a kettle at hard boil, over-roiling at scream. The sound is a pulled trigger, spraying milk everywhere. The duvet will sour, my shirt stain. In this circuit, I am neither detonator nor what absorbs the charge. I'm the casing left behind, the part blown empty.
It's so good to know that, and so hard to know that.
Yes.
It's basically taking something as intimate as could be and not taking it personally.
Yes.
Very hard to do. And I love that the leftover, the stain and the smell.
Yes, and as a parent, I think, at least for me, I often feel that I'm the leftover part.
Yes.
The casing.
But that's again exactly what you've been aiming for in all these poems.
Yes.
It's going to march on. It's going to do whatever it needs to do, no matter whether we cling or retreat or fiddle with it.
Yes.
So what we do is we just acknowledge the wonder of it, the wonder and the scariness at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the good moments.
Which is what makes living so exciting. Now we're down to 3. Tick, tick, tick.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. And
well,
I know
then
you have
I think I'll read my final poem.
Do that.
Yes.
Then we can.
But I'll give you a little preamble.
Okay.
So this has become my signature poem. I've written one poem that's funny, and this is it. And somehow this is my signature poem. But it's a poem that so many writers and artists can relate to so well. And so it's become very popular online. And I don't dare give a reading of my work without it. And so recently I gave a reading that was kind of a long, dark reading, and somebody requested the poem at the end. And so I felt I had to bring it. And the title is the first line of the poem. And anybody who's written and sent their work out will relate to this. I long to hold the poetry editor's penis in my hand and tell him personally, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to pass on this. Though your piece held my attention through the first few screenings, I don't feel it is a good fit for me at this time. Please know it received my careful consideration. I thank you for allowing me to have a look, and I wish you the very best of luck, placing it elsewhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous.
So that's my rejection revenge poem.
It's a magnificent poem.
Well, thank
very, very funny indeed. Right. So in our remaining bit of time, when did you discover that you were such an amazing poet? Or just when did you
Well, I'm
discover
still
it?
not sure. One is never quite sure. There's such an amazing
Well,
poet.
I'm telling you.
Well, thank you.
Take it from me.
You know, I first wrote a poem when I was 6 years old. My sister and I, when I was maybe 4 and she was 7, we started memorizing poems from the encyclopedia, which she had to do the reading part because I did not yet read. And then when I was 6, I wrote a poem, and I just became interested in poetry. And my mother gave me a wonderful book of collected poems when I was 9. And so I've been sort of dabbling in writing for a long time.
You certainly have. You've been. It's not dabbling. It's very.
Well, it's not now.
Plunging. Yes.
It's not now, but
Okay.
it has been off and on.
Right, but you've been oiled for writing.
Yes.
You could say primed for writing.
Yes, since I was about 4, I guess.
Yes, that's just absolutely great. So we're gonna stop here.
Okay.
And
Thank you so much.
I just had one of the best times of my life with you.
Well, thank you,
right
and
here.
I with you.
Okay, thank you, Francesca.
Thank you very much.